But in this video, we're going to talk about something very specific, and it has to do with Chinese clones. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you what is quite possibly the very best 50cc saw ever made. And this is the Jonsered 2152. Now, there's some differences here and there that this thing has that I kind of wish weren't there, but it's the same chassis. All right, so what I'm talking about specifically is the Jonsered 2153, all right, which is going to be your 346 XP new edition in Jonsered colors, the red and black. This one right here is the Husqvarna 353 in red and black Jonsered colors, okay? So you're really splitting hairs between the two if you're just looking for a good chainsaw. Right, the two being the new edition Husqvarna 346 XP versus the 353. All right, again, same thing. It's hard to get the numbers. We all get confused every now and then. This is the same saw. The number on this one is the 2152, which is the equivalent of the Husqvarna 353. The 2153 Jonsered is the equivalent of the Husqvarna 346 XP new edition. All right, what are the differences? The differences basically come down to really just one thing, and that is the 346 XP and the Jonsered 2153 is a fully enclosed port cylinder, and so you can get a touch more performance out of them. Aside from that, though, it's all just, you know, model year differences. Like this one is a C, which means it has a catalytic muffler on it. It's not actually catalytic. There's no honeycomb in there, I don't believe anyways. But it is very restricted, and we're going to deal with that here shortly. And you got that green cap right there, which signifies that it's a EPA type of saw. The carburetor on this has limiters. However, it's a fine carburetor. It's no big deal. But yeah, basically, this is a 346 XP. It just has a slightly different cylinder on it, and it has that catalytic muffler. And the reason why these things don't really matter to me is because, well, you can upgrade easily. You know, it's just a matter of buying a different cylinder and piston. I think the piston's different anyways. Actually, I'm certain it is. But let's fire it up. This one is bone stock, and I have already ran it a little bit and tuned it in a little bit, and it still has the carburetor limiters. The muffler has not been touched, any of that stuff. I already ran it, and it does get hot. So hot that we're borderline burning the plastic on top, and I don't like that, and so it's going to immediately get a muffler mod. But in this video, we're going to talk about something very specific, and it has to do with Chinese clones. Let's do a couple cuts right here. Fantastic running little saw, exceptionally good feeling in your hands, all right? This is just nice all the way around, and it's hard, it becomes difficult to argue that there is a better 50cc chassis than this, because they're just outstanding, absolutely fantastic. The only problem that these things have, are no, they don't have a problem. They don't have a problem. They've got little things here and there that if you were the owner of one that you might want to upgrade, such as that muffler. It's so hot right now, it's just not letting the heat out. And so you'll definitely want to do a muffler mod on these things because it's no good. No bueno, all right? The other issue is it's got kind of an awkward chain adjustment system on here. You know, it's not bad. It's just a little bit awkward, just a little bit. And that's, you know, we're nitpicking here. Anything else, honestly, as far as I know, there isn't a flaw. They're awesome. They last forever. Old school adjustable carburetor. Now you might have to get in there and take the limiters off of the carburetor, but you know, it's to be expected. We're living in a modern world. They're trying to make things friendlier for the environment. And but aside from those two things, really three things I guess you could say, and they're all just like nitpicky things. These are perfect. Very low vibration. They've got an excellent anti-vibe mount system. They're small and compact. They're lightweight, yet they're still sturdy. All right. Like I really like the Echo 4910. It's an excellent little saw. But I feel like that's a little bit, it's so lightweight and small, it tends to feel a little bit janky in your hands. Okay? This still feels solid and really, really well put together. So, you know, there's that. Also, if you wanted to get more performance, now, like I said, this is the 2152 / Husqvarna 353, so it doesn't have the fully enclosed ports. But I've ported these before, and it is absolutely amazing. I would do a comparison, but that one is completely tore down at the moment because I was swapping to a 346 XP cylinder, just because. But these things actually perform fantastically right out the box. And, well, I mean, they're good out the box, but they have the opportunity or the potential to be outstanding, right, whenever you port and polish them. Good arguments could be made for the Steel 261 with the best 50cc chassis if you like steels, and if you like Husky, the Husqvarna 550 Mark II, 550 XP Mark II. But these things are not computer controlled, and it's more old school technology, and most people in the hobby, most enthusiasts and pros too, tend to prefer being able to tune the carburetor the way that they want to. And so with this right here, you don't have to deal with that computer stuff, you know. Plus the running lean, these will last a lot longer. But I've been in contact with Arthur Wang. He works for Neotec in some capacity, and it is a possibility that we might be able to clone one of these things so that the world will get a clone of the best 50cc saw ever, instead of just having the MS250. I think there's a clone of that, and I think there's a clone of the MS260 steel chainsaws. Nothing wrong with those chainsaws, but they don't fly off the shelves for anybody that makes those clones because they're not the best. You know, like I said, nothing wrong with those saws, and if you like them and they run well and they last a long time and stuff. But when it comes to 50cc saws that the world wants more of, they want more of these. And specifically, the Jonsered is a lot nicer than the Husqvarna, just because it is. It's red with a black top. Quit making orange chainsaws. I don't think there's anybody out there that wants orange chainsaws, you know. Maybe there's a handful of people. But orange is good because of replacement parts. You know, if they make a clone orange chainsaw, then you can buy those parts and fit on your Husqvarna or your steel, which is fine, and I get that. But man, you come out with a clone of one of these, they're gonna sell like hotcakes, all right? So let's talk about that possibility of cloning one of these saws. Basically, on the Neotec Facebook page, someone had mentioned that, you know, why don't you guys clone the 357 XP and the 346 XP? And, you know, we've got enough big saws. Quit cloning big saws. You know, we're good. You know, you know, I'm totally with them. What they need is something to replace those Zenoa clones, which are great. I like those Zenoa clones. We're talking about the 5200, 5800, 6200, all that stuff, you know. We need something to replace those that would yield better performance and be more enjoyable for people to have. And this is it. So anyways, long story really short, I've contacted him. He needs a stock saw, or he needs a saw, right? And so what I'm thinking is, and I told him, you know, I'll fly to China, hand deliver it, and get to see your factory, make some video of it and stuff. And he said, yeah, that's great. And so I might fly to China. Don't know when yet. And you know, these wheels will turn slow. Okay, don't expect this to happen next month. Now I might fly to China next month, but you know, you get my point. So, and another one, you know, would be the Jonsered 2156. I'm a little scared about all this because I'm like, will I get my saws back? You know, so I'm a little scared of that. But for the greater good, I think it's worth doing. Now, let's say that I fly over and hand deliver this chainsaw. Am I going to hand deliver it in the way that it is? No. No, I will not. All right? I will make upgrades to this. Because why in the world would I want them to clone a completely stock saw with this horribly baffled up muffler? I wouldn't do that, right? You know what would be really nice is if this happens, is to come over there and have a Matt House muffler on there. Woo, baby. Nice and pretty and perfect. And say, clone that. You know, clone that muffler. That's the muffler we want. Another thing, now to bring a new old stock or an OEM 346 XP cylinder is nonsensical. Why is that? Because I think it's like the bore on that, I think it's 44.3. They're not going to make a 44.3 bore. We know this because there's thousands and thousands of aftermarket 346 XP cylinders that you can get, and they're all 45 millimeter. So they're not going to make a 44.3 millimeter for a clone saw. We know this. So I would slap a 346 XP aftermarket cylinder on there, you know, something just decent, whatever, because they're just going to use what they already have anyways. They're not going to redesign the cylinder. But if I put the cylinder off of the 353/2152 on here, then that's what they're going to sell the model with. No, we don't want that. We want them to have the good closed port cylinder on here. So, number one thing, a good muffler. We don't want them to clone a highly restrictive muffler. That's terrible. Throw that out the window. We don't want that. Number two, we'll make sure that it has the good closed port cylinder on it. And number three, it'll go with a one of the new covers for a Husqvarna 460 Rancher. Right? They fit right on here. I've done it before. Works beautifully, but they have a better chain adjustment system. Am I the smartest guy on the planet? I might be. Okay, yes. So we'll hand that saw to them and say, clone this. You know, the other thing that we want to consider, right? This is just a consideration. A lot of people do the hop-ups on these things with the 357/359 intake and carburetor setup. I do believe that they are direct replacements. You know, they go right on there. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But would it be better to send it with a 357/359 intake and carburetor setup so that they clone it in the best possible configuration that we can have? I mean, I'm excited about this. This sounds amazing, and I don't want to get my hopes too high for sure, because, you know, just setting myself up for failure with that. However, for a clone saw, if you're going to clone a 50cc saw, this is the best one that you can do, right? Yeah, maybe some people would argue that it'd be better to do the Husqvarna saw. I don't know. But one thing's for sure, what we don't want is a clone of a 450 Rancher, which they just came out with, right? Who in the world wants a clone of a 450 Rancher? They're not exactly the best saws from the OEM, let alone a clone, and you can't get good performance out of them. So why is that, you know, who's going to go out there and drop $250 or whatever it is for a clone 450 Rancher? Bill, gag me with a spoon, right? I don't want that. I don't think anyone wants that. Why it happened is beyond my knowledge. But people would line up for these, I think. So hopefully we can chase this rabbit and get some good results and get us a really nice clone saw for the 50cc market. Oh, another thing too is I wouldn't send it over there with those stock dogs. What's the point of that? They're little and dainty and nobody likes them anyways, so I would try and get a better set of dogs. I have a really nice setup on my other 2152 that I adapted something to work off of the Jonsered 2258, right? They're not big, but they're just slightly, you know, about a centimeter bigger than these. These are just far too dainty, and nobody would want that. I don't want that. Nobody wants those little teeny tiny dogs. If you're going to run dogs, run something. Those are ridiculously small, just stupid, right? Tiny little things. No, thank you. But anyways, that's enough for this video. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go. I already have a modified muffler to throw on this thing. I'm going to throw it on there and see if it performs a little bit better. But for this video, that's enough. Wish me luck on that 346 XP / Jonsered 2153 cloning with Neotec. I hope that works out, because whenever it comes to a 50cc saw, it really doesn't get much better than this. These are fantastic, you know. The 4910 is really great, but not good enough. They've got a horrible air filtration system on there, and nearly everyone that picks one up that's coming from Steel, Husqvarna, or Dolmar, they're going to go, I don't know, that feels flimsy, and it feels plasticky. It does, I'll admit it. They're still good saws, but these things, I would much rather run one of these all day long than a 4910. I would. And you can get just good power out of these. Some would say better power than the 4910. So, yeah. Hope that works out.